Hello and welcome to this news hour with the news. I'm Shifarao Lakao. Ethiopia will ensure food self-sufficiency in the coming 5 years through aggressive agricultural production schemes to scrap reliance on grain imports. The remark was made by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed while he visited the Kenya agricultural machineries manufacturing in the state of Oromia. Kushumalisa presents the story as follows.
According to a report by the Bloomberg, Ethiopia spends as much as $700 million a year on grain imports, putting a strain on foreign exchange supplies limited by large current account deficits and debt. The only way out from this trap is to boost agricultural productivity through modernizing the country's agriculture. The government is set to significantly impact the way Ethiopian farmers are growing grains through providing agricultural machineries and embarking on irrigation schemes. Visiting the Kenya agricultural equipment manufacturing in the state of Oromia, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said Ethiopia will ensure food self-sufficiency within the coming 5 years if it sticks to the promising agricultural schemes the country embarked upon.
The tractor is assembled here. I've seen an assembled machine which helps to sow, cultivate and harvest teff for the first time. This is very promising for Ethiopian farmers. If farmers access agricultural machineries and produce 2 or 3 times a year, we can realize food self-sufficiency in the coming 5 years. The federal government is set to strengthen its support to modernize the agriculture sector, not only in Oromia, but also in other regions. The experience that we have seen today should be replicated to others.
The former Prime Minister Hailemariam Desalegn, for his part, said the manufacturing plant is promising for the country's development endeavors.
The cultivation of the common grain of Ethiopia, teff, is really tiresome. We've not been able to come up with a viable mechanism to ease the process of the harvest for many years. But what I have seen today is very promising. These machineries will really ease it up.
Lack of modern technology and state liturgy has long been pulling farmers back from advancing in their production.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister Saturday inaugurated Yirgalem Integrated Industrial Park in Sidama region, South Ethiopia, and visited irrigation wheat cluster farming in the state of Oromia. Kasaunchani has that story.
Prime Minister Abiy inaugurates Yirgalem Integrated Agro-Industry Park in Sidama region.
Here today, our inauguration of this agro-industrial park clearly indicates the solid hope of Ethiopia's future prosperity. I would like to appreciate you, today's youth, for your tireless efforts of preserving the Sidama culture, identity, and development aspirations we wish. I assure you that, being hand in glove, we can take forward without any hesitation the prosperity of the region and the country at large.
The first phase of the park, which is being developed by Sidama Region Industry Parks Development Corporation, is now completed, enabling partial production to commence. Out of the 11 production units built so far, 4 have gone operational, 7 others are preparing to start production after soon. The industry is currently processing avocado oil, honey and coffee capsule. Meanwhile, Premier Abiy, along with the Chief Administrator of Oromia Region, Shimellis Abdiisa, and former Prime Minister Hailemariam Desalegn have visited irrigation wheat cluster farming in Shoba district, RC zone of Oromia Region, which is extensively engaged in irrigation wheat farming as part of national efforts to substitute wheat import with local products. During the occasion, it is stated that 300,000 farmers are active in the region's cluster farming approach, and as a result, 160,000 hectares of land in this year has been achieved in the region. Similarly, the Premier reviewed efforts to mechanize agriculture in the Oromia region with a visit to Kenya agriculture equipment manufacturing site in Shashamane. It was also noted that the public-private partnership has enabled the assembly and distribution of 737 tractors to farmers. The region aims to farm 1.3 million hectares with the use of tractors.
Now, the Ethiopian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in a statement issued yesterday, has denounced U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's accusation of ethnic cleansing of Tigrayans to the House of Foreign Affairs Committee on March 10, 2021. Sentayo Tamrat presents the full statement as follows.
The Ethiopian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has issued a statement Saturday morning underlining that the government of Ethiopia is fully cognizant of its obligations under international humanitarian and human rights law to which Ethiopia is a party. The federal government undertook the law enforcement operations in the Tigray region with utmost precaution to avoid as much as possible collateral damage on civilians and civilian institutions, the statement indicated. The Ethiopian government also takes any allegations of human rights abuses and crimes extremely seriously. That is why it acted swiftly to undertake the necessary investigation to verify those allegations and bring perpetrators to justice, the statement said. It is in this context that a team composed of representatives from the Federal Attorney General and the Federal Police Commission has been deployed in the Tigray region to carry out this investigative work. In addition, the statement said, the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission has been investigating and reporting on human rights issues, including the Maikadra massacre, civilian casualties, sexual violence, and allegations of discriminatory treatment. The outcome of these investigations will enable the government to bring the perpetrators to justice and comprehensively address alleged human rights violations and crimes that have occurred in the Tigray region, it pointed out. The ministry also indicated that the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission has already publicized some of its preliminary findings and recommendations from its independent investigations. Furthermore, the Ethiopian government has demonstrated its readiness to engage positively and constructively with all the relevant regional and international stakeholders in responding to the serious allegations of human rights abuses and crimes. In this regard, it has already expressed its willingness to collaborate with international human rights experts. In this regard, it has already expressed its willingness to collaborate with international human rights experts and, if need be, conduct joint investigations with the relevant bodies. The statement explains it is in this spirit that the government has been engaging with the Office of High Commissioner for Human Rights, and now it has proposed to cooperate and engage with the relevant African Union mechanisms, including the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, in the investigation of alleged human rights violations in the Tigray region. Discussions are currently underway to look at the modalities for implementing this commitment. However, the allegations, in fact outright accusations of ethnic cleansing of Tigrayans by U.S. Secretary of State Antony J. Blinken during his testimony to the House of Foreign Affairs Committee on 10th of March 2021, is a completely unfounded and spurious verdict against the Ethiopian government. Nothing during or after the end of the main law enforcement operation in Tigray can be identified or defined by any standards as a targeted intentional ethnic cleansing against anyone in the region. That is why the Ethiopian government vehemently opposes such accusations, the ministry underlined. Overblowing things is out of proportion while the Ethiopian government has made its position unequivocally clear on the need for thorough investigation in collaboration with regional and international partners does not serve the purpose of justice other than unnecessarily politicizing the issue, the statement said. It further stressed that the Ethiopian government attaches particular importance to its long-standing and strategic relations with the United States. It is committed to work closely with the current U.S. administration in further strengthening and boosting this important bilateral relationship over the coming years, the statement noted. The statement finally appreciates the support of the U.S. to the ongoing reform agenda in Ethiopia and expresses government's readiness as usual for resuming frank exchange of views on bilateral and regional issues of common interests and concerns.
Now, World Bank Country Director for Ethiopia, Eritrea, South Sudan, and Sudan, Osman Dion, vows to provide support to refugees sheltered in the state of Somali. The country representative paid a visit to the refugee camps in the state, accompanied by the state's chief, Mustafa Mohammed, Minister of Women, Children and Youth, Filsan Abdullahi, and other officials. Refugees residing in the camps have explained to the country director and government officials the difficult situation they are in. Upon hearing concerns of the refugees, the country director expressed commitment to helping support them by creating linkage with the state and federal governments.
I do heard all the challenges which they raised. And I think every single one deserves a better life for themselves and for their children. And that is also what brought me here. I wanted to understand some of those challenges and some of the difficulties they are facing, so that we can work with the authorities to see what are the solutions possible. But I do promise them that I'm going to work very closely with the president of the region, and I will also work with the federal level authorities and within the framework of our partnership to look at what are the solutions possible.
Major General Mohammed Tassama, the National Defense Force Indoctrination Director General, held discussion with Ethiopian peacekeepers deployed in South Sudan. The discussion held with the peacekeepers currently serving at Juba, Bor, and Yambio areas mainly focused on their mandated operations, according to the Defense Force. During the discussion, the peacekeepers condemned the acts of the 15 individuals, including Lieutenant Colonel Sagai Abraha, who recently tried to carry out TPLF's mission by refusing to return home from South Sudan after completing their mission. The participants said the individuals don't represent the Ethiopian peacekeepers who were deployed to maintain peace and stability in a neighboring country. The Minister of Health, Leah Tadesse, has called on the people to adhere to prevention measures as the country recorded a single-day record for deaths linked to the coronavirus. According to the Ministry of Health, 30 people died yesterday, up from 27 reported on Friday, which is also the second highest single-day record. Quote, "The pandemic is not over and the fight must continue. We need to revitalize our collective efforts to protect our loved ones and ourselves by adhering to the prevention measures," Leah wrote on her Facebook page. The ministry launched yesterday COVID-19 vaccine across the nation exactly 1 year after the first case was confirmed. Meanwhile, Ethiopia launched its Saturday nationwide COVID-19 vaccination, where the frontline health workers and government officials have become the first to receive the inoculation. Alula Teklamariam has more.
Africa is urgently rolling out COVID-19 vaccines. These through vaccine preparation plans will help ensure African countries quickly immunize the most vulnerable people. Ethiopia, the second most populous nation in Africa, officially launched vaccination in its different parts. Addis Ababa, Dreddawa, Oromia, Harare, Somali, Tigray, Southern Ethiopia, Afar, Amhara and Benshangul Gumuz regions have started the vaccination. Health Minister Dr. Leah Tadesse has a vaccination launched and taken herself the first shot in Mekelle city in the presence of regional officials, where CEO of the interim administration of Tigray, Mulunega, has also been vaccinated. Meanwhile, Chief of the Amhara Regional State, Agenyo Teshagar, had a COVID-19 vaccination launched at Bahar Dar City Felegayot Hospital. While receiving the first shot of the vaccine, Agenyo expressed his gratitude to health professionals who've been fighting against the virus regardless of the potential risks.
የክልላችን የጤና ባለሙያዎች የሀገራችን የጤና ባለሙያዎች የፈጸሙት ጀግንነት ምንጊዜም ሲወሳ ይኖራልና
History will always remember our health professionals for their irreplaceable roles in fighting coronavirus since the outbreak of the pandemic. I, on behalf of myself and the regional administration, would like to thank you all for your contribution in this regard. It is great relief that science is able to produce a vaccine to curb the spread of the virus.
Head of the Amhara Regional State Health Bureau, Dr. Melkamo Abte, said priorities will be given to frontline health experts in the vaccination process.
ቀጥተኛ ተሳታፊ የሆኑትን ፊት ለፊት የሚገኙትን የጤና ባለሙያዎች ነው መጀመሪያ ክትባቱ የሚያሳትፈው.
Health professionals will be beneficiaries of the first phase of the vaccination. Second, it will be made to vaccinate vulnerable people, including the elderly over 60 years old. But one shouldn't forget that vaccination does not replace our protection efforts. We need to strengthen preventive measures as usual whether we are vaccinated or not.
But the same token, Oromia Regional State has launched the vaccination at Mojo Town in the presence of chairperson of the Oromia State Council as well as head of the Oromia State Health Bureau. Like other regional states, the Oromia region will also prioritize frontline health expertise and people with health cares during the vaccination. Addis Ababa City also commenced the COVID-19 vaccination today at Eka Kotebe Hospital under the supervision of members of the Ethiopian House of People's Representatives, senior government officials, and representatives of the UN and other regional and international organizations. Dredawa, Harare, and Somali regional states have also begun the vaccination with senior federal government and leaders of the respective states observing the events.
Ethiopian industrial parks have so far generated more than $610 million from export of various products. That's according to the Ethiopian Industrial Parks Development Corporation. The 13 industrial parks exported apparels and other products to the European, the United States, and other global markets to generate the aforementioned revenue, according to Bahailu Kabada, head of Marketing and Communication Department at the corporation. In addition to generating foreign currency, the industrial parks have created more than 89,000 employment opportunities, Bahailu told EBZ. He added efforts are underway to address high cost of living, housing and transport problems of workers, as well as meet the industrial park's demand for electric power and other facilities. And finally, a quick reminder of the top stories. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed says Ethiopia will ensure food self-sufficiency within 5 years. And the Ministry of Health warns citizens that the death toll from coronavirus is shockingly rising. That's all the news there is for now. Many thanks for watching us. Bye-bye.